Welcome, I'm like Angelo, here to tell you guys a little bit about Logic 10 from a beginner standpoint, whether you're a Logic 9 user or any other DAW user trying to transition into Logic 10. Don't be scared. I know it looks a little intimidating, but let's get right into it. The first thing that's going to happen whenever you open up a new session is you'll see a window. Don't open any templates to follow this. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see a new tracks window. So you're going to go ahead and click software instruments. Say you're trying to make a beat or some original compositions. Go ahead and click software instrument right here in the middle of the screen, and then you can go down a little lower and type in how many tracks you want to make. We'll right now we'll make just two, just because I'm going to only show you guys a couple things. So I'm going to make two of those. Okay, and one of the default ones it's going to bring up for you is the electric piano. So I'm going to go to the one with nothing on it. And notice on the left, there's this drawer button, top left corner, drawer button, and I button. I'm going to go ahead and unclick both of those. Know that the drawer button is going to be what you go to when you want to change your instrument or just pick your instrument that you're using, your software instrument. So go to any of these. As you can see, it's a really organized. You don't have to deal with opening up synthesizers or anything if you want to just get to work. So let's go ahead, open up the piano, Bosendorf grand piano. That's a great one. And there you go, and it just loads up for you. So it's that easy. You don't have to worry about much else, and I recommend you trying out the Legacy. That's a new plugin. Another thing I want to bring up, if you press the I, that'll bring up the fader, and just a little mini track view of your track. If you check around the bottom left of the screen, that's your track, the grand piano track we just chose, and then the track to the right of that is going to be whatever track it's going to next from here in the flow of the recording process. And if you want to change that, say you want to make a subgroup, you can always send it to a subgroup or a bus. Send it to bus 5, and there you go, right to the right it'll say bus 5, and you can double click that and call it piano sub or whatever you want to call it. Be creative with it, and then you can send more than one track to that bus and put whatever plugins for all of those tracks on this chain right here. Another thing I just want to mention, I'll touch on, and we'll go over more in another tutorial, is the MIDI effects plugins. Essentially, they're plugins just for software instruments. If you see where my mouse is right here to the left of the screen, I'm going to go ahead and close this drawer just so we have a little more room. Okay, so you click MIDI effects. All of these are pretty self-explanatory. We'll go, as I said, we'll go into them in more detail in another tutorial. But there arpeggiator plugin, chord trigger, modifier. These are all great. These help you make your original sounds that much more original. One other thing while I'm thinking about it that I will recommend you do is go up here to on the top middle of the screen. If you're used to Logic 9, go to Custom. If you click the notes and conductor thing, you go to Custom, and it'll bring you the same transport window essentially that you got to see in Logic 9. And one thing that you definitely want to know is how to change the divisions. Say you're drawing in notes or something like that, you can change the divisions right here. If you want to do some really unreal fast drum rolls, you can change the divisions to 64. And if you press P, you can see what that did. This will bring up the piano roll. So notice how small my divisions are, how specific they are, and you can, if you don't want them that crazy, again, bring it back to 16th notes, and there you go. And if you press escape, you can go to the pencil tool in here and draw in whatever notes you want, which is very helpful if you know what you want to put into the software program but you can't quite play it perfectly. So I definitely recommend using that. Next, I'm going to show you how to get to the mix window. Simply press X and it'll bring up the mix window. You could drag it up and everything. So the mix window is clutch. And again, to get to the piano window, that's P. Those are probably the two main windows that you're gonna want to quickly get to. Um, and just press X again if you want to get rid of it. And now I'm gonna go over what you would have to do if you were, say you had an instrumental and you wanted to bring up some audio tracks or something just to record over top of that. Go to around the top left where my mouse is. Click track. You could click new audio track, or if you want to make more than one, you want to go to new tracks, plural, and then go click audio tracks. And these other type of tracks, drummer and guitar or bass tracks, guitar or bass tracks are basically audio tracks in a nutshell, just specifically designed for guitar and bass. And drummer's a whole nother monster that we'll tackle in another tutorial. But right now we'll go to audio tracks, and as you can see, I have a Vox subgroup, but you could also make another subgroup if you wanted to send it out to a different bus using this output tab. But for now we'll keep it like that, and we'll make 5 tracks just for kicks. And these will all have input monitoring on. You can adjust that if you don't want that. And I'm gonna press X again. Highlight all of these new tracks that I just made. Double click and just call them all Vox. You can it's probably wiser to name them all something different if they're gonna have something different on them. And then it says right below the time-based effects sends, which we'll go over in another tutorial as well, where the tracks are going. And in this case it's bus 6. So bus 6, you can see a little bit to the right where my mouse is now that this subgroup is the one that's getting all the tracks that are going to bus 6. So yeah, and then again double click the subgroup if you want to rename it. Double click the name, bottom right now. So I'm just going to rename it Vox_sub just to demonstrate. And yeah, make sure, I'm going to click out of the mix window again and go to one of these tracks. You want to make sure that your input is set correctly. So I assume you have an interface if you're doing audio recording. It's pretty self-explanatory. The left input on your interface is input 1. The one to the right of that's 2, so on and so forth. So, and you want to make sure, see I have the eye open. Close it real quick, top left, sorry. Press the eye, and that'll bring up your tracks, all the properties of your track, and you can just click right here in the middle left of the screen to change the input. But I'm going to keep mine at 1 because that's where I need it right now. And I guess what I can say about time-based processors is that all your tracks that you're going to make all have 2 preset reverbs that you can add to them right here. And you increase those preset reverbs by, if you look on the left middle of the screen, you turn that up or down. So a little secret, the average ear can't tell the difference between different reverbs. So if you're a beginner, I wouldn't stress out too much about that. And another couple things I'll mention is you want to, if you look in the top middle of the screen, this is the BPM right here, the very middle thing. You can change that by just simply clicking, dragging up or dragging down. I like 120, that's good, but for some of my hip hop music, I like going a little slower, around 70 to 86 or so. Okay, if you look on the top right of the screen where my mouse is, this essentially loop button, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? It'll bring you to the loops, and what you do is, say you want to sample some of these loops, and by the way, this is royalty free. If you want to sample them, you just you can preview them by just clicking them in here, and then just dragging them over into the window, and it'll automatically create a track for them once you drag them in. So that's really cool. I just put in a little drum fill. I don't know why it didn't actually drag in, but yeah, I'm just gonna put in a little fill, and there it is. Yeah, so, and then you can use that to create a completely original song that you won't have to legally pay for in the future. So save your projects, but there is a great autosave feature on Logic 10. Another couple things I want to go over for future tutorials is there's a built-in vocal tuning or just instrument tuning feature that's kind of like Melodyne or graphical auto-tune built right into Logic 10. So we're going to have that in another tutorial, as well as a lot of the other features that I may or may not have mentioned throughout this beginner's tutorial. So I hope you learned a little something. Go ahead and press Command S to save your project, which you still want to do frequently because, say you get caught where it didn't do an autosave right where you wanted it and you did something really crucial to your project. You still want to save using Command S every once in a while. The first time you save, it's going to ask you what you want to name the project. I'm just going to call this tutorial. Okay, well, that about sums it up, and please feel free to post any questions, comments, or suggestions for me. If you want to hear some of my music or anything like that, please go to whynotondemand.com, where I feature tutorials, various types of content, music, comedy, and more. I have a project called Songs I Wrote on My iPhone, consisting of mostly hip-hop music, coming out at the beginning of this year at some point. I haven't announced a release date yet, so be on the lookout. Follow me on Twitter at @TheMikeAngelo, and